What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, today's episode, we're back at work on the K24A for Project CB9. Now, as you saw in last episode, we put some emphasis on the intake manifold and the throttle body. And today, we're going to go ahead and adjust the starter, get the throttle body and the intake manifold fully assembled. But before doing so, we need one small part for the throttle body. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a trip out to the junkyard. Okay, back here at the yard, and we're looking for 2002 to 2004 Acura RSX base models, and particularly we're looking for a throttle body. Let's go ahead and see if this one has it. And taking a look at the aftermath of the engine bay from the yard vultures, there's no throttle body, so we'll go ahead and keep looking. 2006 Acura RSX in black. Let's go ahead and take a look at the engine bay. The interior has definitely been ravaged through, and the engine bay has been ravaged through as well from yard vultures. But we do have a throttle body right here, and this is the part we're looking for. The throttle body, throttle cable bracket right here, because I don't have this on mine. And it's held in place with two 10mm bolts. I'm not sure if the 0506 RSX throttle body bracket is different from the 0204, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at the yard and see what 0204s we come across. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and grab this throttle body bracket because it's easily accessible. 2003 Acura RSX, looks to be taffeta white, and this is strange. These looks like 02 to 03 Nissan Maxima SE wheels. It's just a quick view from the inside. Most importantly, let's check the engine bay. And the engine bay is mostly there, minus the throttle body. That's a bummer. I just need that one silly bracket. Okay, we'll go ahead and keep looking for other RSXs. 2002 Acura RSX base model in desert silver metallic. The interior has definitely been ravaged through. Airbags deployed, evident of front end damage. And engine bay has been ravaged through. And of course, throttle body's gone. No good. We'll keep on looking. 2002 Acura RSX base model in taffeta white. Now I believe with this model, I think we got the VTEC solenoid from this a few weeks ago. Let's go ahead and pop the hood, see what's going on. Okay, so there's bad news and good news. The bad news is the throttle body's gone. The good news is the throttle body bracket's still there, so we're in luck. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this bracket, and I probably need to grab the hardware from the other RSX across the yard because those two 10mm bolts are missing. Let me go and pull this thing off. Okay, so about 2 minutes later, finally got the throttle cable bracket from the throttle body itself. Now it's only held in place with the two 12mm nuts, which is the throttle cables themselves, and then there's a 10mm bolt for the casement. So not too shabby. Let's go to the other RSX and grab the hardware. Okay, quick little trip back to the 2006 Acura RSX. Now let's do a side-by-side comparison of the throttle body brackets. So this is from the 0204. Now if you take a look, this thing looks to be the exact same. Exact notch out and everything, exact bolt pattern, so I think we're good to go regardless if it's an 0506 or 0204. So this is in better shape, a lot more rust on that one, but I need to go ahead and grab that 10mm and that 10mm, and we'll be good to go for the yard visit today. Let me go and grab those and we'll get going. Okay, let's go ahead and address the starter on this engine. Now with this K24A engine from Japan, this obviously came with an automatic transmission because this is an automatic starter. So we need to go ahead and change this to a manual starter. So what we're going to be installing here is a used TSX starter from a 6-speed manual car. Now I got this when I bought the transmission from the guy for about 10 bucks. So it looks to be in okay shape. So we're going to go ahead and just roll the dice and go ahead and install this unit right here. And let me show you how to swap this out. So I've got a much different situation right here since my K24A is on the engine stand as opposed to being in the engine bay. So you got this bolt right here that runs through it, and this bolt actually attaches the engine stand. So that's why I've got my floor jack and a 6x6 post right here to support this engine because, you know, once I release this, then I've only got 3 bolts holding this engine on the motor stand. So I don't want to take no chances. So I got some tension on the floor jack right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this nut and washer off, and then this 14mm bolt out of position, take the automatic starter, pull it backwards, pull it away from the motor, and then we're gonna go ahead and put the TSX manual starter in position, put this nut and washer back on, and that 14mm bolt, tighten things up, and we should be good to go. and then we can go ahead and install our charge harness from the EP3. So let's go ahead and take care of the starter. Alrighty, the TSX 6-speed starter is now installed on the JDM K24A. Went ahead and installed the nut and washer back in position, and then this 14mm bolt is tightened up. Now let's go ahead and focus on the charge harness. So this is the EP3 charge harness. So we're gonna go ahead and make the connections on the starter. So just for illustration purposes, this is the old automatic starter. It came on the K24A. So you got this top main bolt right here, and you got this connector right here. So we're gonna plug this in to the new TSX 6-speed starter. And so here's the connectors right here. So this is the main connector that will be going onto the top bolt right there. And then you got this small connector right here, which actually has, I don't know if you can see right there, but a metal spade on the inside. So this metal spade needs to actually go into that metal spade in that black connector. It's hard to see right there on camera. So we'll make those two connections on the starter. And then this connector right here, I think this connects to the knock sensor. I believe that's the sensor on the front of the motor. Let me show you that. So this is where that one connector goes right here. So actually you might have to take some electrical tape, peel this back in order to get some slack on this wiring connector, because I'm not sure how the K20 and the K24A, how the orientation is. It might be closer together. So let me go ahead and pull back some electrical tape right here, and then we'll go install the charge harness from the EP3. All right, the EP3 charge harness is fully installed on the K24A. Got the knock sensor plugged in, got the main connector on the starter plugged up, and also the spade connector on the starter as well. Okay, now moving on to the alternator, we do have a small complication. Now the main connector plugs in just fine. However, this ring terminal right here that's covered with rubber boot, this opening is much smaller than the shaft right here that's on the alternator. So what we need to do is go ahead and remove the Honda ring terminal that's in position right here. And I went on eBay and ordered a set of copper ring terminals. So we're gonna wait for that to come in. So we need to go ahead and re-crimp a new connector in place, because I don't wanna drill this thing out. Otherwise it's gonna cause structural integrity, being that the thing is too thin. So it's better to just go ahead and replace the ring terminal itself. Anyways, it's not gonna stop us today. So let's go keep on going. So anyways, here's the base RSX throttle body throttle cable bracket. Got this from the yard for $10.06 plus taxes and fees. And then we need to go ahead and bolt it onto our RSX Type S throttle body with these two 10mm bolts. So let's go ahead and attach the bracket to the throttle body, and we'll take the next step. Okay, I think it's safe to say we can go ahead and put the outer plenum of the intake manifold back onto the K24A using the 3 12mm bolts and 2 12mm nuts. So obviously the nuts go on the top and the bolts go on the very bottom here. Go ahead and slide this thing in position and tighten them up. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay, outer plenum intake manifold is bolted back in position on the K24A. Now, just a little FYI, I actually took out these Allen head bolts because they were the medium-sized ones because they were sticking out a little bit too long right there. So I went ahead and used the shortest ones because that just looks a lot cleaner right there. So just a little FYI for you guys. Okay, so this is one of the parts I've been waiting for. So this is a thermal insulating throttle body gasket. It's basically the same price as basically a Honda OEM one. I think this was $12 shipped, which ain't bad at all. So this is actually gonna last you a long time as well, as opposed to the paper ones. You can kind of see the thickness right there. I'm gonna guesstimate about 1/8 of an inch. So let's go ahead, open up the thermal insulating gasket for the throttle body. And then we're gonna go ahead and take our RSX Type S throttle body, which we just attached the base RSX throttle cable bracket in position. And then we're gonna take the longest bolts that came with the adapter plate and bolt the throttle body in position. Fingers crossed, everything works. So let's go ahead and put this thing together. Okay, we got some fantastic news and we got some bad news. So let me go ahead and give you guys the bad news first. So the bad news is on these rubber hoses, they're not reaching these outlets right here. Stupid me actually cut this off maybe about 1/2 inch in order to put that Accord throttle body on there. So next time I go to the yard, you need to go ahead and get a replacement rubber hose. Same thing on the bottom right here. This rubber hose is not actually matching up to this bottom port right here. It's stretching too much. So I need to go ahead and figure out which replacement I can use in order to implement this on the RSX Type S throttle body. And the fantastic news, the RSX Type S throttle body mounts to the intake manifold perfectly. We got no clearance issues whatsoever. So it looks like the wiring harness is gonna plug in just fine. Now it is very close right here with this metal bracket that holds this rubber hose, how close it is to the throttle cable bracket, but we can go ahead and address that later, maybe do some bending, but I don't know, that's maybe about a 30-second away from there. So anyways, what we need to do now is go ahead and figure out if the wiring harness plugs into all these connectors right here and we got no stretching or shortage of wires. So let's go ahead and plug in the throttle body and see where we're at with things. Alrighty guys, check this out. I am excited. The EP3 wiring harness plugged in perfectly on the RSX Type S throttle body. Now see, there's 4 connectors on the RSX Type S throttle body, by the way. I apologize, I don't know the exact names for all these connectors, but I believe this is the idle air control valve right here behind this rubber plug. And then this connector right here will actually plug into the air intake tube. As you can see right here in the charge harness, that plugged in perfectly on the EP3 wiring harness. Now guys, I just can't tell you how happy I am with all these wiring harnesses plugging in. So now we don't have any mystery connectors per se like we did originally. Okay, so the upcoming work we need to complete on this K24A while it's on the engine stand, we need to go ahead and replace the ring terminal for the alternator so we can go ahead and get that bolted in position. And then we need to go ahead and put some focus on the thermostat housing right there. And then with these two rubber tubes, the lower one and the top one, we need to go ahead and figure out which rubber hoses we need to use that are going to be longer, that'll actually plug up into the RSX Type S throttle body. And last but not least, we need to go ahead and put some dressing up features on the top of this motor. All right, things are coming along on this K24A. I'm real excited, and I'm just glad everything's coming along together quite nicely. So stay tuned. I mean, we're just getting started in this K-swap build. Alrighty guys, that wraps up today's episode, and I must say we got quite a bit accomplished on the work that we did on the K24A so far. Now, first and foremost, got the RSX Type S throttle body successfully mounted onto the intake manifold itself, and most importantly, got the EP3 wiring harness connectors plugged in perfectly on the RSX Type S throttle body. So lesson learned, you need to have corresponding engine harness on the corresponding throttle body itself. You can't mix and match, so hard lesson learned. Anyways, we still got some work to go on the K24A while it's on the engine stand. We need to go ahead and replace the ring terminal for the alternator itself. We need to go ahead and get the water outlet installed in the bottom of the engine. And then we need to go ahead and extend the lines for the rubber hoses that connect to the RSX Type S throttle body. And last but not least, the finishing touch that'll go on the top of the engine. Now, I hope you guys are enjoying this series so far, and I'm having fun, and I hope you guys are learning something. So this is going to be an exciting adventure once this thing goes into Project CB9, and I hope you guys can stay tuned. Anyhow, if you found this video helpful or entertaining, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic day.